Ravens just finished day 11 of training camp practice. No Lamar Jackson today. It was more of a walkthrough style practice ahead of joint practices tomorrow, but we do have some highlights to go over. We also hear from Chris Horton, Patrick Ricard, Todd Monken, and Zach Orr, all that and more in today's episode of the Flock Rundown.
Ravens Flock. Flock Rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Ravens just finished day 11 of training camp practice. Slow day today, walkthrough style day. No Lamar Jackson, no Rashad Bateman. Light work for the veterans overall. A lot of the younger guys got more reps today, and that is all ahead of joint practices tomorrow versus the Colts, which is something I'm most excited for. I think that's one of the most exciting days of training camp, besides maybe the start of training camp, day one. These joint practices are the most entertaining because you really get to see what you have against another team. We've talked a lot about how the Ravens defense has been getting the upper hand on the Ravens offense, but it'll be nice for the Ravens offense to be able to go against a brand new defense that is not seeing them every day, because when you see the same guys, same team every day, same scheme every day, same plays, you just start to learn the tendencies and you can kind of plan for it. And that does go into the defense's advantage a little bit when they're like, all right, we've seen all these routes. We know how Zay is going to cut. We know how this is going to go. And when it's another team, you just cannot have that same preparation. So I am very, very excited to see these joint practices tomorrow. But let's dive into today's practice. There was some things that happened today. No Lamar Jackson, no Rashad Bateman, still no Emory Jones Jr. on the non-football injury list, still no Ardarius Washington. Marcus Major still out with that concussion. Isaiah Likely still out with his foot, and then Lagerbeam is also still out. Kyle Hamilton ended up leaving a little early and was kind of stretching his groin, but it was a light workload for most of the veterans today, and it doesn't seem like anything's serious. There's no serious injuries or anything really going on at all, but veterans took it a little easy today. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of the veterans get a lot of reps tomorrow because they're not going to play in the preseason either. So these joint practices are the veterans' main reps. You know, this is the most action against another opponent that Lamar Jackson and Kyle Hamilton and, you know, all the main guys on this roster are going to see. But diving into today's practice, the penalties are still a huge issue. I mean, it's almost every video, every practice I'm talking about this, you know, false starts, illegal formations now. The offense has been struggling to not have penalties every single practice.
Number one, the penalties were still a big issue for the Ravens, and I feel like that's been a talking point after almost every practice. And it's not just the false starts, which they did have a number of false starts today, but it's also illegal men downfield on an RPO play, multiple illegal formations. That's one that's kind of been sneaky here the last few practices that's been popping up too much for my liking. So still got to get these penalties under wraps, specifically on the offensive side of the ball.
We still got about a month before Buffalo, so definitely looking to see this improve, and maybe it won't be that bad in the preseason games, but training camp has definitely been filled with penalties, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Todd Monken spoke again about the penalties and just how they're not gonna shy away from trying to be an elite cadence team, an elite motion team, and there's a lot of complicated things going on offense, and that's not going to change, so they're gonna have to get it right.
Still a work in progress. I mean, that's what we're gonna continue to do. I mean, as I told the guys, like, you can't be a nightmare to defend without being able to use multiple cadence, shifts, motions, formations. I mean, you just can't. So we got to fight to be elite there. We can't say that and then not fight to be elite at. That's just the only way you're going to say it.
Tylan Wallace had a nice day today, a leaping one-handed catch on a 15-yard end-zone fade from Cooper Rush over Nate Wiggins. And then Cooper Rush also hit Zay Flowers down the seam for a 45-yard touchdown with Marlon Humphrey close by. Also strong days from Tez Walker, who's back in action now. He's been stacking practices pretty much all offseason. He's having an incredible offseason. Got a little bit of a soft tissue thing, but he's back. Had a good day today. Keith Kirkwood and Dayton Wade also had had strong days today, and Dayton Wade's in that punt return mix as well. Chris Horton spoke to the media today. He said that it's between Anthony Miller, Dayton Wade, and LaJohntay Wester. And I'll make a preseason preview video probably on Wednesday talking about different guys and positions that I'm really looking for in the preseason game. But this punt return competition and back end wide receiver competition is definitely one of the main battles that I'm focused on. I really think that it's a true competition, especially between LaJohntay Wester and Dayton Wade. I do think Wester's in the lead right now, but Dayton Wade has stacked a lot more consistent training camp practices as a wide receiver. I think Wester is in the lead for a punt return job, so whoever ends up winning that punt return job is going to be given that 6th receiver spot on the 53-man roster. I don't think they both can make it unless we carry 7 wide receivers, but most likely we're carrying 6, and it's going to be between Wester and Wade. Maybe Anthony Miller. He's a bit older, though, and hasn't been making as many plays lately either. I do think Dayton Wade is coming on strong. LaJohntay Wester's coming on strong. I think that's a true battle there. We'll see who handles the punt return duty better because that's where they're going to play the most. TJ Tampa had another nice day today with a takeaway and a pass breakup. Tampa forced a fumble on Keaton Mitchell. He punched the ball out of Mitchell's hands after he made a catch in the flat. Tampa then scooped the ball up for a forced fumble and fumble recovery. Todd Monken spoke to the media today. He was talking about the versatility of the Ravens' formations and offense in general this year and said to not be surprised if we see multiple running backs out there at the same time. Keaton Mitchell and Derrick Henry pairing, a Justice Hill and Derrick Henry pairing. I think that is going to be fun and very confusing for the defenses to understand who's going to get the ball.
As I said in the spring, I see him as a starter. I see us having 3 starters. But I also see Charlie Kolar as a starter. I see Isaiah Likely as a starter. I think we could go 2 backs. I think we could have Derrick out there and Justice, or Derrick and Keaton. I think that's pretty cool.
Todd Monken was also asked about protecting Lamar, his running usage, and how they go about doing that. And he said that they prepare as much as they can before, but when the ball's snapped, it's all on Lamar, and he doesn't want it any other way. He wants the ball when the game's on the line. I love hearing stuff like that. We know that about Lamar, but to hear that from the offensive coordinator again, just how competitive Lamar is and how he kind of wants to have full control. I love hearing that from the franchise quarterback.
The only thing we've ever talked about as a staff or collectively is he has to play the game once it's snapped. It's up to us to try to minimize the intended hits or the potential for hits. Once the ball's snapped and we've called a play or whatever the design is, could be a run where it's a QB driven, could be a pass where he scrambles. He goes and plays. And he wouldn't want it any other way. I mean, he'll say that. I mean, when the game's on the line, that dude wants it in his hands, one way or the other. So we're going to do that.
Pat Ricard also spoke to the media, and he was asked about tomorrow's joint practice and how they avoid fights. And he pretty much said they don't. And the last time that they practiced with the Colts, there was a full team versus team brawl.
I think it's pretty hard. We're in training camp, especially guys they're fighting for their jobs, their livelihoods. And it's a big evaluation for us. We're going against another team who their scouts are looking at us and vice versa, and things kind of getting chippy. You don't really know the guy, so you might, tempers flare. It might happen. I think the last time we had a joint practice against the Colts, we had a full team brawl. And so hopefully that doesn't happen again because it got a little crazy out there.
Ricard was also asked about blocking for Derrick Henry and how long he thinks Derrick Henry can play, and he said forever.
Keep playing.
Forever.
Yeah, because he has the 5 yards already. I mean, have you ever thought about that? Have you ever asked him how long does he think he can keep going?
Yeah, I mean, the way he takes care of his body, the way he loves the game and how hard he plays, if he wants to, I think he can play however long he wants to play. I think it's really up to him. I hope he plays forever because hopefully I get to play with him forever because I think he's one of the greatest backs ever, and it's a privilege and honor to play with him. So yeah, he's a beast. I think it's really up to him.
Man, I wish Derrick Henry could play forever in a Ravens uniform next to Lamar Jackson. I mean, we are beyond blessed to have all-time players like this and just this stacked of a roster in general. I mean, I was saying it last season too. I know half the subscribers now are from this year, but If you were with me last season, man, you know how many times I was talking about just how blessed we are, how we need to embrace this moment, because this team is so stacked. To have a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, a running back like Derrick Henry, it's just very rare, man. If you've been a Ravens fan for your whole life or for a long time, you know it was not always like this. These are special times that we're in right now, and I just want everyone to cherish it and try to stay present in that moment day to day, because it won't be here forever. Zach Orr spoke to the media today and was talking about the defensive line and brought up one of the underrated players of this team that I don't talk about enough either, and that's Broderick Washington. He says that he's the hardest worker on the team. He's going to play defensive end. He's going to play a lot. He's going to have a big impact for this team this year. Zach Orr said he comes in on his off days and Broderick's in the weight room lifting in the dark.
Broderick Washington's having a nice camp, and he's now top of the depth chart at defensive end. What have you seen from Brody out here at camp?
Man, just being Brody. I mean, he comes here every single day and works. He's a guy that you really got to kick out the building. Like, it's off days, I'll come in here and I think nobody's really here. See no cars in the parking lot. I'll walk through the weight room, he in the dark with a hoodie on, squatting, doing shrugs. That's just a testament to the person he is, man. And I think Dennis Johnson has done a great job with him, and Brody's done a great job of taking the different techniques and applying them. So what's Brody been doing? It's not a surprise. I thought he had a real good year last year, and he's just building on that. So we expect big things from him. He's one of our top players, one of our top underrated players that nobody really talks about, but he does the dirty work, man. He's one of those type of guys who's a glass eater, who's going to do the things necessary for us to be able to make game-changing plays. Zach
Orr also gave a big shout-out to newcomer John Jenkins, said that he is going to be a home run signing and is the ultimate pro.
Ultimate pro, man. Ultimate pro. I mean, he's great off the field. I think he brings that veteran leadership to the team, not only just the D-line, but to the team. For him being around, helping the young guys out, I think that's real valuable and real underrated to have in your locker room. Guys who've been around, who go about their business the right way, and John's one of those guys. And then, I mean, he's a big body in there. He can play, man. I mean, he's getting to the ball, running to the ball. He's dominating blocks. You're not going to be able to block him one-on-one. You have to put two guys on him, and then when you do that, it's going to free up the backers. So we've been real pleased with John. That's a home run hit for us so far.
This entire roster's stacked, but I really think our D-line and the D-line depth is definitely going to be a strength of this team. And I didn't know if I was going to say that earlier in the offseason or last year, but Travis Jones and Matabike and Broderick Washington, and then John Jenkins brought on. You know, we just re-signed Urban. We got Peebles in the mix. There's just a lot of depth there behind some superstars, I think, in Matabike and Travis Jones, and some underrated, really talented players like Broderick Washington, who might not stuff the stat sheet, but is putting in all the dirty work. I really think the Ravens are going to have a really, really strong defensive line, and who knows how long this will last. You know, Travis Jones is a free agent. Like, we're going to have to pay him a massive deal. Are they going to pay Travis Jones to be alongside Matabike for the long term? I hope so, but I don't know. So, you know, this is another one of those situations where it's just embrace how stacked this roster is. And another position group that is probably more stacked than that is the secondary, the cornerback room, the safeties. You know, Zach Orr spoke to how he can get a lot more creative with blitzes and bringing different pressures and moving guys all over the place because their secondary can be trusted.
When you have DBs, when all of them can cover like that and they cover well, it opens up a lot for us up front, man. You know, whether it's bringing pressure, whether getting four-man games, it allows us to do a lot of different things. And it's just not man coverage, even zone coverage as well. Those guys are real versatile players. They're real smart players, and they got ball skills. So you want to switch it up. You don't want to just be a man all the time as well.
But that's pretty much it from today, guys. Really light practice, walk-through day. Tomorrow is the banger, though, man. Tomorrow is joint practices versus the Colts, and I cannot wait for that. I can't wait to see us go against another team and just see what we got. You know, I think that those are the best. Some of the best days in training camp is these joint practices. I always love them, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. So I'll be here tomorrow recapping the joint practice. Then there's another walkthrough, really no practice on Wednesday because they're going to be preparing for the game on Thursday, preseason game on Thursday. Excited for all of that, man. Appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. Flock Rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.